and welcome to Friends That Invest, the podcast that feels like a voice note from your favorite finance friend. My name is Sim Kaur. I'm an accredited investor and I am wildly passionate about all things money and investing. This episode is going to be the final installment of our 3-part wedding series where I break down all the financial wellbeing tips, issues, mistakes, many of them which I have already made when it comes to budgeting for a wedding. If you are someone that is trying to do a wedding on a budget, or you're just trying to mentally prepare for what everyone says is like the most costly experience of their life, go elope, don't do it, all things I will now start saying myself, you are going to enjoy this episode because I'm going to be breaking down 5 things that you should absolutely cut out of your wedding and 5 things that you should keep in that are worth the money. Because if you're going to do a wedding right, you probably want to make sure that you're having it on a budget that makes sense and is still good for you, whilst also not completely skimping out and not actually enjoying the day or the week ahead. The first chapter of this episode is diving into the actual experience wedding guests care about. And if you think about when you have been a guest at a wedding, you're probably more nervous about your own outfit. Let's be honest. You're probably more nervous about like, oh my God, is my hair slicked back? Like, is my makeup going to melt off my face? Like, I just tried this Dyson and my hair is already uncurling. Like, these are the things as guests, we are so incredibly selfish, as we should be. We're like, I need to get a Polaroid photo of me in this outfit and I need to hold it with a good background behind me. And then I need to post that on Instagram. That is what we are worried about. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest. We are not that worried about the decorations or the music or the little, like, is it real flowers or fake flowers? Maybe some people are. I personally am not. We're not worried like, oh my God, the bridesmaids' dresses are like kind of not the same. Like, we are not stressed about the little details. And yet it is so funny that when you become the bride, you feel like every single part of your wedding is a reflection of your values, your budget, your future happiness as a married couple. Like, that is a lot to put on like a napkin design. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is a lot of effort to put on things that just do not matter as much. And so that kind of leads me into the very first set of things that I just do not think were worth the money in the end. And just save yourself this amount and, take it from me. The first thing that you want to cut is real flowers as decor. Like, you can have real flowers in your bouquet and maybe in your bridesmaid's bouquet and the little pin thing that the groom wears. But you don't need real flowers on the tables. All the weddings I've gone to, I can't remember if the flowers are real or not. I actually can't. Maybe I would have noticed at the time. Maybe some people would even make a comment. But in hindsight, I remember the couple. I don't even remember the food. I remember the couple and I remember the vibes. And if as a bride, you are at your own wedding so stressed because you are worried about what everyone else thinks, people are going to feel that energy and people are going to feed off it. But if you're a bride that's just like excited, so happy, this is like a time to celebrate you and your partner, and you really don't care what people think about your fake flowers, then you are going to save a ton of money and you're going to be just happy overall. And so that was one thing that was very easy for me to reduce, like slash thousands of dollars off my wedding costs. And I just know they're going to look beautiful. The wedding has not happened yet, but I just know they're going to look absolutely stunning. The second thing that I cut down on, and this is no shade to our caterers because they are 10 out of 10 caterers, but when you work with caterers, they usually have like for different events, they have packages. And so for one of our events, we had a juggle, which is like a party. This is for my Punjabi wedding. And they gave us packages on food. And there was like the bronze package, the silver package, and the gold platinum package or whatever. I think we went for the middle one or even the lowest one because at the end of the day, in my case, we are hosting like 5 days worth of food, 5 days worth of events. And one of the events, which is the jura ceremony where the bride has like her bangles placed on her. So I'm not married yet because in the video, I don't have the red bangles on. I like was sharing with my family. I sat them down and my extended family and I was like running through the days with them. And I kind of had my piece of paper and I was like, and due to budget constraints on the day of the jura ceremony, we're going to be having pizza. And someone was like, pizza? And I was like, you don't have to come because there is just going to be pizza. Like, we are doing nice food on all the other events, but I can't be catering every single day for 5 days. Like, that is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And also, people, again, might remember the food at the time, but let's be honest. If there is alcohol at a wedding, people are usually drinking and they probably don't remember the food. So that's like, let's say you have half your guests drink, that's half of them that don't even remember the food. And if they do remember the food, I don't recall being like, oh my God, yeah, John and Sandra's wedding, food was incredible. I don't care. And you don't care. We don't really care about these things. But when you're the bride, we get so obsessed about it. The third thing that helps cut down costs is putting events together. So in my case, for an Indian wedding, your haldi and your mehndi are separate events. The haldi is when they put the turmeric on you and it's all yellow and beautiful. And the mehndi is the day you sit down and have like your henna or your mehndi put on you and all your bridesmaids. And I saw my friend combine them for her wedding a couple of years ago, and I thought it was so smart. So what they did is they did the haldi. Everyone's like, putting turmeric on you. Then the bride would go upstairs, have a shower, come down, and then they would go into the mehndi. And that was just perfect because now we've saved money on the food. Again, food. Oh my God. Money on decorating, money on the time of the the photographers would have spent the same amount of time, but like the travel costs for the photographers and all these things that add up, the food again, like please, the snacks, it adds up. It absolutely adds up. And so by combining some events, that makes a huge difference. And if you want, like some people will combine a lot of events together or they will have much smaller events like haldi and mehndi are just at my parents' house and the churro ceremony is just at my parents' house. So, there's no venue cost, whereas some of the other things have more costs associated, especially like the reception, which is not at anyone's home. And the fifth thing that I did to save money is, okay, guys, I went and saw the most beautiful shoes. I am obsessed. I don't know what I said in the last episode, so this might have counteracted what I said in the past, but since recording the last episode for the bridal series, I went and saw a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes. I've always wanted Jimmy Choo shoes for my wedding. And I found the most beautiful pair. They were all bedazzled. I tried them on. Thank God they did not have my size because I think I would have walked away with them. And they were like, oh, we can order in your size. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm more than happy to do that. And by doing that, that kind of gave me a little bit of time to knock some sense into myself and be like, Sim, you're never going to wear these shoes again. Like, you don't need to be spending this much on a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes. And so I gave the lady my number and I went away. And then I searched up my friends work in the hospital and they wear these like really stylish heels that are very comfortable. They were made by a podiatrist. They're called bed shoes or bard shoes, like Bared. And I went and I tried some on and they were like, my feet were sitting on a cloud. And they were still expensive. They were still like $200-$300, but they were so much cheaper and they were having a sale. And they don't look like normal wedding shoes. They're like skin colored heels. But they were so comfortable. And then I realized, I'm like, Sim, I'm going to be wearing wedding langas and like long skirts, like attire where my shoes won't even be seen. And then I can wear these shoes like long term outside after the wedding. And I love them. And I do need a pair like this. And then you could buy these little diamante things that hook onto the front of the shoe. So there's diamonds on the front, but you can take them off. So you can make them look more like wedding shoes, but then take the diamonds off. It like clips on. It's hard to understand, but if you search up like barred shoes, diamante hook, you'll see what I mean. And so I could have them as wedding shoes and then take the hooks off. And now they're just a normal pair of like nude heels that I can wear to work. And I ended up buying them and I felt bad because then the Jimmy Choo lady was like, hey, the shoes that we like got for you from the other store are here. And I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. And then deep down, I was like, oh my God, I saved so much money because I was never going to wear those shoes again. And like, when I realized no one's even going to see my shoes, what was I doing? What was I thinking? Like, sometimes you have a teenage dream and you're like, this would be really nice. But I think what I wanted to be in a place in my life where I could afford Jimmy Choo shoes. I don't think I actually needed to be able to spend the money on them. Knowing that I could and I chose not to, like, probably gave me the same feeling. So that was a great way to save some money. Now, this kind of leads us on to the next chapter where we speak about things that were totally worth splurging on. And if you're trying to weigh up like where to put money when it comes to your wedding, this is the place to do it. These are the 5 places that are without a doubt worth it. Now, again, I have not had my wedding yet, so there might be a chance that I change my mind afterwards. But so far, like leading up to the wedding, just a couple of weeks to go, I am so grateful that we spent money on these things. The first thing that I spent money on that I feel like, again, went against everything I thought I was going to feel, is I ended up spending a bit of money on my wedding outfit. With my pre-wedding outfit things, I rented them. And like for my bridesmaid's outfit, I rented it. And for another bridesmaid outfit, like a bridal shower, I bought something secondhand and it was like 50% off. So I've tried to save in lots of different places, and some of my outfits for like my Sikh wedding, I already have. However, for the day of my wedding and my reception, I bought my dream outfit and I did not hold back. And I ummed and ahed and hummed and hawed about it. But I realized like it was so important to me. It's so vain. It was so important to me to just feel good because I knew I love my family, but I knew stuff was going to go wrong. I know things will go wrong. I know there will be some drama. I know things will, I just want to look good. I just want to step away from it all and just feel absolutely fabulous and just have the jewelry that I want, have the outfit that I want, and just vibe it out. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's my wedding day, wedding week. I just want to enjoy it as much as I can. And so it was so worth spending that money on the nice dress. And I think it was when Maya was on the podcast and she was sharing how she ended up buying her dream dress, even though it was like, you know, outside of her, what she wanted to spend at the time. I didn't really understand it back then, but I get it now because that is like the one, you're going to be photographed all day and you're going to have these photographs for your life. And so I have to put my hand up and say, like, if you're weighing up buying that dream dress or not, and you can pay for it in cash, I'm not saying go into debt for it, but if you can pay for it in cash, get the dress, girl. Can't believe I'm saying this. Get the dress. It's the one day, get the dress. Trust me. The second thing that I think is absolutely worth paying good money for is a good photographer. It was easy for me to make this choice because the photographer that I chose, they weren't the most expensive photographer. Like I got a different range of quotes and some of them were like fashion photographers almost that also did weddings, which I think I went into a different territory. But the photographer that I had was 10 out of 10. They also did videography. So that together was like a little bit more costly. And they had different packages. And I ended up going for the highest package, unlike the food where I was like, let's go for the lowest package, because they were just so good at what they did. And I knew that these are the memories, again, that I'm going to have forever. I'll hopefully show like, you know, my nieces and nephews and, you know, if I have any kids, like these are just the things that I will hold on to. And again, I want to relax. I want to enjoy it. And I've had photographers in the past for events where the photographs just did not turn out as good and the event was beautiful. And I was like, damn, like, this is really sad. Like almost what a waste. Obviously I'll always remember the memory, but it would be nice to have had good photographs. So it was absolutely worth a splurge. And the photographer is going to be with you the whole time. And so you want someone that you can vibe with and gel with and someone that you can relax with. And if that means like paying a little bit of extra money to be more comfortable around someone as opposed to maybe someone that isn't as professional or doesn't put you at ease or doesn't know what they're doing, like that was absolutely worth the cost to me, even though, you know, it was a little bit of a pretty penny. Now, the third cost that I ended up splurging on in some ways and not in others, but are totally worth spending was the venue. What my fiance and I did is we went venue hunting and we looked at a few venues. I knew the vibe I wanted. I was like, I want to go to Italy. My fiance was like, our grandparents cannot reach Italy. And I was like, how do I find Italy at home? How do we find Italy in our backyard? So I found a few estates and they were just so pretty. So we went and looked at the first one, and word of advice, don't make your first one the most expensive one of all of them because you'll fall in love with it. Like we went there and it was raining and it was drizzly and the weather was terrible and it was still the most beautiful, breathtaking place. And we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then when we inquired about how much it was, we were like, oh my God, this is definitely not even what we thought a venue could cost. The host was fantastic about it and they answered all our questions. And then we went and looked at some other wedding venues. And the whole time we had the first one in our mind and we weighed it up and we were like, well, let's go cheaper with other things, other venues. Like, let's do a lot of events at home. We don't have like my parents and my fiance's parents. We don't have like big fancy houses. It's not like, oh, we can do the wedding at home. It still looks really pretty. We're very stock standard homes. Nice, but not like large. And we'll probably just put like a white tent outside to fit the extra people. And so we thought, okay, well, let's do something smaller and low key for all the other events. The juggle, the like party night, again, we'll do it in like a not an expensive venue that was very cost effective. And also we chose not to have an engagement party so we could just put money towards the wedding. And so we ended up getting our dream wedding venue. And the best part about the wedding venue being so fantastic and so beautiful is we didn't have to spend as much on decor. Like when our photographer was like, hey, are you going to do like a backdrop for people to take photos at? We were like, the venue is the backdrop. Like it is so stunning. There is a beach and grass and like a forest and a beautiful old estate with like ivory growing up the tower. Like we don't need a backdrop. The venue is what we're paying for. And I'm so glad we did that because we don't have to like spend money on a big arch or something for the civil part of the ceremony. We're just facing the house because the house is, again, like the pretty part of the venue. And so it was definitely an expense, but I'm so glad we chose it because so much of the magic of the place is either the place that has like significant value or memories to you, like if you do it at home or at someone's home, or if you do it at a place that is just stunning. I guess we could argue that the money we saved by not going to Italy was spent. No, that doesn't count. I don't agree with that. The fourth thing that is worth spending money on is a month of coordinator or a day of coordinator. This is the person that comes along in your like wedding journey, maybe like for our civil wedding. So the Kiwi wedding and the reception, we're doing that on one day. And we have a wedding coordinator who is helping with that. And she's been helping with that since we started wedding planning. And she's been like working with all the vendors. And when you are doing what's called like a dry hire wedding venue where you just hire the place, but you still have to put up like a marquee and get tables from somewhere else and chairs from somewhere else and like cutlery from somewhere else. That's just hiring. Like, oh, we need like a bar table, stool and like a cooler. And so she organized all of that. And on the day of the wedding, she like has made a structure of like, okay, bridesmaids come this day, arrive this time, bride comes this time, groom comes this time, the person that's doing DJing music, he'll arrive this time. And she's just organizing everyone else for us. And it kind of feels like having a bubble around you because you're protected because this wedding coordinator is managing everything. And while we couldn't afford to have her for every single wedding event because it would have just gotten a little too costly, we ended up finding someone else later down the track to just be the week of wedding coordinator or a month of wedding coordinator for the other events. So this was someone that didn't have to deal with vendors or deal with any planning, but just in the last like week before the wedding or 2 weeks before the wedding, we just gave her everyone's contact details and we just said to her like, this is the structure of the wedding, this is the timeline on the day, and like, can you just be the person that if something goes wrong, they go to you rather than coming to us or our family, because we really valued our family being able to enjoy the wedding and relax and have fun and not be like, oh my God, did we like do the pack up? Did we pick things up? Has anything been left behind? Did people make it on time? Like there's all these different things you have to think about, especially with an Indian wedding. And so just to have that support, oh my God, I cannot explain how freeing it has been on like the mental load and the stress of that and just like passing it on to someone else who is so much better at organizing than I am. Like that was very, very, very important for me. And the final thing that I absolutely think was worth splurging on, in my case, I don't know if other people will feel the same way with this, we were getting our wedding bands and my fiance and I were choosing, and the salesperson or the jeweler, he got us good. We were like, oh, we don't know about the price, da, da, da. And he goes, well, of all the things on the day of the wedding, the one thing you actually take away for life besides the photos is your wedding bands, like the decor and the venue and all that. You leave that there. The food, you just have it on the day. But the wedding bands are the one things that you keep for life. It was a really great sales tactic and it worked on me. It worked on me. And if you're watching this video, you can see again, because I have not yet been married. I don't have my wedding band on me, but you'll see it, I guess, in due time. And I'm so glad that we went for these beautiful wedding bands that mean a lot, and we got them, engraved, and they will be the thing that, hopefully when I'm 90 years old with my old wrinkly old lady hands and still with like my old lady deep red nail polish, like it would be nice to still see that wedding band, and hopefully I have like taken good care of it and there's not like missing pieces on it, like little diamantes falling off. But I'm so glad that we ended up splurging on those things, and we were able to do that by saving on other things that were not as important. Like the amount that you could spend on florals, that could be the cost of like a really nice wedding band, that goes with your engagement ring or is custom designed. And so there's so many things that we have done that have obviously suited us and our strategy and how we wanted to do things. And I hope that this episode, you've found something that you're like, you know what, Sim, that's helpful. I'll save on those things. And do you know what, Sim? Some of these like things that you've splurged on, I wasn't sure, so I'll choose one or two of them. You don't have to spend money on all the things and save on all the things. And I, by no means, am not going to judge anyone if I come to your wedding and you have real flowers. I'm not going to be like, oh, Courtney, you are financially irresponsible. Like that is not the case. This is just what has worked in my journey. And so I hope you found it helpful. And please, 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 if you can, subscribe to the YouTube, leave a comment. It helps us grow the podcast, which then helps us get more resourced, which means we can make better episodes for you. And with that, I'll see you next week.